Since I was a young man, I've always been curious about why we don't change when we see other people live their own cautionary tales. Why can't we just get the lesson and improve our own lives? We've all seen this happen. I've personally lived through all of these examples, and I'll bet many of you can relate to them. Someone you know got cancer with a bad prognosis. You go to the funeral of a friend who died suddenly at a young age. A colleague had a heart attack at age 52. Someone else you knew went through a brutal divorce. And we looked at their situation and thought, I need to change before that happens to me. I need to eat better. I need to connect more with those I truly care about. I need to speak up in my marriage. I need to spend more time focusing on what energizes me and brings meaning to my life. I need to get my priorities in order. But we didn't. Maybe we made some adjustments for a week or two. Maybe we felt motivated for a moment, but nothing really shifted. And now we're wondering, what's wrong with me? Why can't I learn from someone else's mistakes? Why do I have to go through my own pain and learn these lessons the hard way? And if that's where you are, this video is for you, because the answer isn't that you're weak or stupid. The answer is that cautionary tales almost never create lasting change. And understanding why changes everything. I'll also get to what you can do with this information so that it'll be useful in a practical way. Here's what most people think. If I just see enough evidence that I need to change, eventually I'll do it. If I watch enough people crash and burn, I'll be scared enough to make different choices. But decades of research on behavioral change show that's not how it works. Watching someone else's pain can make you aware that a problem exists. It can move you from total denial to thinking, maybe I should look at this. But awareness and action are two completely different things. Because change doesn't happen when you're scared of future consequences. Change happens when your current reality becomes unbearable. When the pain of staying the same finally exceeds your fear of the unknown. And that's the threshold most people don't cross until they're forced to, if they ever do. So think of it this way. Your motivation is like water building up behind a dam. You can see the water, you know it's there. That's awareness, but it only forces action when the water levels rises high enough to spill over the top, when the pain reaches that critical point. And what do most of us do? We bail the water out. We distract ourselves, rationalize, we numb out. We do whatever it takes to keep the level from ever getting high enough to force our hand. And there's a model psychologists use to map out how people actually move through behavioral change, and it identifies something critical. There's a stage called contemplation where you're aware something needs to change, but you're stuck in ambivalence. You can see the problem, you know it's real, but the pros and cons are basically equal in your mind, so you stay frozen. You think about it, you worry about it, but you don't act. And this is where most people live after witnessing someone else's cautionary tale. They move from denial into contemplation, which feels like progress, and it is a step in the right direction, but they don't go any further. Because for real change to happen, you need to reach that internal tipping point where the benefits of changing finally outweigh the costs. Not intellectually, but emotionally, in your lived experience. And here's the problem. Your brain has an entire defense system designed to prevent you from ever getting there. First, there's something called status quo bias. It's a hardwired preference for keeping things the way they are, even when the way they are isn't working. Your brain treats the familiar as safe and the unfamiliar as threatening. So even when you can clearly see that your current path is dangerous, your system resists disruption because the devil you know feels less risky than the devil you don't. Then there's loss aversion. Research shows that the pain of losing something feels about twice as intense as the pleasure of gaining something equivalent. So when you think about changing, like leaving a job, ending a relationship, breaking a pattern, your brain fixates on what you'll lose. The stability, the identity, the comfort of knowing what to expect, and it inflates those losses to the point where they feel catastrophic even when they're not. And these aren't personality flaws, they're predictable cognitive mechanisms that keep you locked in place. But the real problem is what happens when you start feeling the discomfort that would push you toward change. So let's say you're in a job that's draining you, you watched a colleague burn out, and you know you're on the same path. You feel it, the exhaustion, the frustration, the sense that this isn't sustainable. It requires brute force to keep doing something that's not aligned with who you are. That feeling is information. That's your system telling you something needs to shift. But instead of listening to it, most people do everything they can to make it go away. They distract themselves, they rationalize, they stay busy, they numb out with alcohol or work or scrolling or whatever keeps them from sitting with the discomfort. Psychologists call this experiential avoidance, but really it just means trying to escape uncomfortable feelings. And it's incredibly effective in the short run. You get immediate relief. But here's what you're actually doing. You're preventing the pain signal from ever building to the point where it would force you to act. You're bailing the water out of the dam, so to speak, so it never reaches the spillway. And as long as you're managing the discomfort with avoidance behaviors, as long as you believe you can't handle negative emotions and have to get rid of them immediately, you'll never cross the threshold. You'll stay in contemplation forever, aware of the problem, worried about it, but never uncomfortable enough to actually do something about it. So here's the question you're probably asking now. Does that mean there's no point in watching this video? No point in learning from others? I mean, are you saying I should just wait until I hit rock bottom? No, but I want you to understand what's actually happening here. And if you're watching this, you're probably not in denial. You've already moved past that. You're aware something's off. You're contemplating, and that matters. But contemplation isn't enough, and you can't force yourself across the threshold through sheer willpower or discipline. And the research is clear on this. Change driven by external pressure, by I should or I need to before something bad happens, doesn't last. It fades the moment the external pressure drops. Real change requires internalization. It requires the pain of your current situation to become so present, so undeniable that staying where you are is no longer an option your system will tolerate. So if you can't muscle your way through it, what's the point of understanding any of this? The point is this: you might already be closer to that pain threshold of change than you think. That exhaustion you're feeling, that frustration, that quiet sense of, I don't know how much longer I can keep doing this. That's not some vague future problem. That's pain right now. And you've probably been working very hard to avoid feeling the full weight of it. The longer you suppress it, the longer you distract yourself, rationalize it away, numb it out, the longer you stay below the threshold. And the more likely you are to stay stuck until something forces your hand. So the work isn't about forcing change. The work is about stopping the suppression. It's about letting yourself actually feel what's happening instead of managing it away. It's about letting the water level rise instead of constantly bailing it out. Because here's what the research shows. The people who make sustained, meaningful changes aren't the ones who white-knuckle their way through based on fear. They're the ones who finally stopped avoiding the reality of their situation and let the discomfort be whatever it was. And here's the other thing that's important to understand. Your brain is lying to you about the cost of change. Loss aversion makes you catastrophize. You think changing means losing everything: your security, your identity, your stability. And now I want to be clear, I'm not saying the stakes aren't high in many situations. Sometimes they absolutely are. Walking away from a job or a marriage does come with significant consequences. I'm not minimizing that, nor am I interested in judging your life. If you're in a situation like that, I just don't want that to make you think this part doesn't still apply to you. Because here's what the research shows. Even when the risks are real, your brain systematically inflates them. It makes them feel bigger, more catastrophic, more certain than they actually are. And that's the cognitive distortion. Most of the time, the thing you're afraid of losing isn't as valuable as you think it is, and the cost of staying is higher than you're admitting. Understanding that this bias exists, that your brain is overestimating the risk, even when there is risk, can help you see the situation more clearly. It won't push you across the change threshold by itself, but it lowers the barrier. And finally, there's something you can do right now that prepares you for when the moment comes. You can build distress tolerance. You can practice sitting with uncomfortable emotions instead of immediately trying to make them go away. And as I've recommended in other videos, journaling can really help. When you're tempted to avoid and numb out, instead, just start writing about whatever it is you're thinking and feeling. Keep doing this every day until you have nothing else to say. Meditation and exercise are also healthy ways to get through this. I know exercise has really helped me personally in this type of situation. Here's what happens to most people when they finally hit the threshold. They feel the pain, they start moving toward change, and then the discomfort of change itself triggers all their avoidance behaviors. So they retreat. They go back to what's familiar because at least it's predictable. But if you practice tolerating the discomfort, if you learn that you can sit with anxiety, guilt, shame, uncertainty without it destroying you, then when the threshold moment comes, you don't sabotage yourself. You can actually move through it. So let me be clear about what I'm saying here. I can't give you a shortcut. I can't give you a way to bypass the threshold. The research shows that sustained transformation requires your internal pain to outweigh your fear of disruption. And that's not something you can think your way into. I also don't know your specific situation. Only you can decide what's right for your life. I'm not here to tell you that you should change anything. That's your call to make. But here's what understanding this gives you. It helps you recognize that you're probably already in more pain than you're admitting, and that suppressing it is keeping you stuck. It helps you see that the catastrophic cost your brain is screaming about isn't as real as it feels. Even if it is significant, it's a predictable distortion. And it helps you prepare by building your capacity to sit with discomfort so that when you do cross the threshold, you don't immediately retreat back into the patterns that got you here. The threshold is real. You can't fake your way across it, but you can stop pretending you're not already approaching it. Transformation happens when you stop managing the pain and start listening to it. When you stop waiting for the perfect moment and start acknowledging the moment you're already in. The cautionary tale actually did its job. It got your attention. Now the question is, what are you going to do with that awareness? Let me know what your experience with this has been. Please like this video if you found it helpful. And if you're new here, I hope you'll consider subscribing. I make content for men over 40 who are ready to be true to themselves and live a better second chapter. Have a good day.